my forearm around it. So I use a lifting method, and I take my opponent's heel over the hurdle of my forearm and lock it in place. The moment that occurs, my bottom knee faces my top knee.
Welcome back, everyone. Week 2 of the Friday night Skills and Drills class, virtual editions. Tonight we've got some interesting stuff going on. I have upgraded my setup, so hopefully a little bit more enjoyable to watch. What we're doing is we're going over guards. There's so many different guards in Jiu-Jitsu, so many different ways to approach the guard position. I think that it could be fun if we go through all of the different styles and sort of positions, I suppose, that you can go through in guard. So it's going to be long. There's going to be a lot of different ones. Let's get straight into it. Let's have some fun. All right, number 1, closed guard. Surely we know all this one. Last week we did the planning from closed guard in the BJJ mapping out our game lesson. Basically, legs closed around the opponent, closed or full guard sometimes called. Next one is an interesting one. I will say before I move into this that a lot of these positions can be classified under a single guard. So this one here is called high guard. I think a lot of people would just say, well, hang on, no, that's just a closed guard extension. It's a move that comes out of the closed guard. That's probably going to happen a lot, but some people have decided to make that into a specific guard of their own or a variation. And this one is the closed guard. So you're working your legs up from a closed guard position until you can close them up nice and high. Surely anyone who's done any jiu-jitsu for some time can see the benefits of that. Super aggressive guard, at least from attacking standpoint, controlling their posture nicely, and got a lot of different options. I think his main option that he wants to go to is an armbar triangle star combo, but he talks a lot around being on the side of his hip for this one. If you're flat on your back, it doesn't necessarily work, so keep that in mind. Check out the video if you want to learn more from that one. But high guard, variation of closed guard. The next one is rubber guard. So still kind of technically a closed guard. It's just instead of closing your legs around the opponent, you're going to grab one of your legs and one of your arms and you're going to link them up together. Of course, famously made by Eddie Bravo, who we can see here. Rubber guard is extremely reliant on you being flexible and you being able to contort your bodies into some weird spots. But important to have that main posture with the arm and the leg, but your other leg is able to move around from on the top there, it's closed, and it's on his back and onto the hip, all for different control points. But yeah, the rubber guard, certainly an interesting one. The next one, a little bit closer to home for me, I've been doing a little bit of this one myself, is the Gubber Guard. So it is the rubber guard, but in the gi or using the gi, hence Gubber. And a really, really strong option here. Basically, it's a rubber guard set up just using the lapel that you've fed through from the back up across over one shoulder. So you can see there that it's achieving the same purpose, just with an additional control point. So definitely worth trying. A lot of different setups. You can even go to Polish Worm from here. Super fun one. Next one is not one that I was familiar with, was the Williams Guard. So Williams Guard here, you can see that he's taken an adaptation on a few of the closed guards I've already seen to get quite an interesting control on the arm. Not something that I've really tried. I think once we get back on the mats after this lockdown, I might have a little bit of a fiddle around with, because it definitely looks interesting. Invented by Sean Williams. That's Sean there in the white gi. Check out his videos if you want to have a little go. But yeah, basically putting your arm underneath the crook of your own knee and isolating an arm. another one which is reliant on you being on your one hip, not on the back or flat on your back. Next one is just your standard half guard. So we move into from sort of full guard, closed guard into your half guard. You'll see here no gi variation. And the reason I've sort of cut into the next one pretty quickly is because half guard has different ways of achieving sort of control from your half guard spot. This one here is the lockdown. So some people would just say once again that this is a move from half guard. Other people would say it's an entirely separate guard. I would probably say it's just a variation of half guard and a way to control. You're looking at his legs there, being able to hook and control their leg is super powerful. Can be really, really painful and unpleasant when someone knows what they're doing down there on the bottom. Quite a controlling bottom position. And then, of course, if you would talk about lockdown first, you've got to talk around next the deep half. And I've got two examples here for this one. Deep half, this is sort of a quarter guard into deep half guard, sort of a shallower version where he's really laying on his leg like a pillow, isolating that leg. And the second one, I got an example of Cyborg doing a similar setup, but a slightly different variant on the deep half. And I thought it was important to show both because it is a super strong position and different people like to play it different ways. You'll see here that he's gone underneath the leg and he's really stretching the guy out from the bottom position. So deep half, incredibly valuable if you're a strong guy, if you're a little bit more, you prefer to be strong and slow. This is a great guard for you. So definitely go into it. I would highly recommend it. I'll add the videos down the bottom as I said. Many different variations from here, or you can flick it over. Now this one is an interesting one. Octopus Guard. So this here where he is right now, this is the Octopus Guard setup. So you're aiming to fly by his arm and get up sort of around him, and then you've obviously got back takes and things like that. Look, try Octopus Guard if you want to. I tried it. I found it very difficult. I just put it in there for the name, to be honest. Next one is sit-up guard. Super important to have this one in your game. He's playing this from a variant from a De La Riva, so you'll be familiar with that De La Riva hook. We'll see that a little bit later on in the video. But it refers to you sitting up into your opponent like you are now and attacking. And there's all sorts of variants of sitting up guard or sit-up guard, some with the lapel, some with the arms, but it's basically sitting up and taking control of that one person or that one leg. A variant of that is obviously a Shin To Shin guard. So Shin To Shin, super fun, super effective at controlling your opponent. Highly recommend giving it a shot. If you're looking at this, the guy in the white gi is going to be trying to think knee cuts and passes or even back steps into isolating that leg. But what he's going to do is basically create space for himself on the bottom by shuffling back and then slotting his foot in so that he can achieve the shin-on-shin action. Now, I've been doing a little bit of leg lock stuff recently. This is a perfect way to set up into your straight ashi or your single X, as it might be called. Really effective, lots of things you can do, and when someone knows what they're doing there, it's really tough. The next guard is, of course, Marcelo, his butterfly guard. So many different variations of this. If you could spend your whole entire life doing just butterfly guard with Marcelo. But it's basically, I've got your feet in. What we're looking at here is your hooks on either side, and you're controlling his legs. Really, really tough, particularly when they have sticky hooks. Insane. Next one is your Koala Control. I thought when I was doing my lapel guard stuff that I invented a position. I did not. It was actually called Koala Control. This is Mackenzie Dern. She's got a whole bunch of really cool fights to watch if you want to go on and look at that, where she uses that leg control. It's almost like lapel gi control, but with the arm, and she just decimates people, takes their back all the time off this move. Super fun. I didn't know it was called Koala Control, but there you go. It certainly is. I'm not sure why she named it that, but there we go. Next one is the man himself. This is De La Riva or De La Riva, depending on if you are Portuguese or not, or Brazilian or not. This one is just, we all know this. There's 1,000 different variants of this one, so I only picked one or two. You'll see in the upcoming videos, but you're looking at that hook. His left foot is feeding in up and behind, and Some people have a sleeve grip, some people have a collar grip, some people have no grip on the right side, but it's super important in jiu-jitsu, modern jiu-jitsu now, to have the De La Riva game, because it's an entrance guard into so many other cool positions. So definitely a stable core of your open guard modern jiu-jitsu. And then we move into what I've been studying a little bit for no gi more recently is your Z guard, or if you're American, your Z guard. Craig Jones here showing a little bit of how it works, but it's basically looking at a knee shield and just understanding that it's like a half guard, but you're pushing with your top leg into his hip and you're pulling with your hamstring of the bottom leg. Really push-pull action, and it's super annoying to get stuck in someone's Z guard. Able to set up a lot of different guards from here, and super effective at inverting and getting there. Now, if you were to stand up in the Z guard, you would find that if you were Craig Jones at least, you would transition to the reverse De La Riva. So we saw the De La Riva before, that was on the outside leg. This is the reverse De La Riva, looking at the left leg of Craig Jones on the bottom there. He's going up, and it's got a De La Riva hook, but it's on the other side. So reverse De La Riva is primarily designed to do two things. One, cut or stop the knee cut. And then the second thing is to invert, so you can attack and invert and go to the legs. And it's a really, really interesting one. Would highly recommend people playing around that one if they hadn't before. The next one is a bit of an exciting one. It's the reverse De La Riva spider. So it's just an example, and I could have spent hours just finding all the different variations of these. It's a showing that you can put in different types of guards and they all work well together. So in this instance, we've got the reverse De La Riva, which we can see his bottom leg has that reverse De La Riva hook. And then his left hand is taking a spider guard hook. Now we'll see spider guard in the next video or two. But it's putting the two together into a really strong control where I highly recommend giving this a shot. You can combine all sorts of guards when you take this approach. The next one is Keenan running us through Mantis Guard. I'm not sure if this is widely known as Mantis Guard. I think he's just kind of named it that, but definitely a strong control on one single leg where you're basically pushing through. It's a reverse De La hook and then reverse De La Riva hook, and then you're locking it down yourself. So that's the Mantis Guard. Check it out if you want to. Fun name too. This one goes back to before. We were talking around the Spider Guard variant. This is the original Spider Guard. Not played as much anymore in competition as it used to be. However, it is with the gi primarily, or only with the gi. And you have your feet in their biceps and your hands on their sleeves. And you've got that pushing and pulling motion. If you don't know how to get out of a Spider Guard, it can be incredibly frustrating because it'll get you there and it'll keep you there for a long time. And there's a lot of attacks that can come off this. Super frustrating, but yeah, the Spider Guard, often you see a lot more people using it, as we saw before, in the single variant with maybe a lower body control, but Spider Guard. Next one, we won't get too crazy on. We've done all this one in class before. This is part of our syllabus, at least the white belt syllabus. This is your collar sleeve guard. So once again, lots of different variants here. You'll notice that here he's kind of doing a lasso or a lasso guard variation there with his left leg, but basically you're controlling your opponent with the collar and with the sleeve, and hence the collar sleeve guard. Your legs can do a variation of different things. He's going through De La Riva hooks, he's going through lasso, as I said. He's got the feet in the Spider Guard on the other side. Sometimes it's in the hip. So where your legs go will depend on how you like to play the position, but the basis of the collar sleeve is your hand grips and your hand positioning. So a really, really valuable guard to have, particularly if you're just working into the open guard sort of game and you're thinking about opening up your closed guard for the first time and you're not sure where to go collar sleeve, because you can have so many other attacks from there while it being super strong in its own right. Definitely worth checking it out. You'll see there that he's controlling the arm Super annoying. I've got an omoplata before the video cuts out. The next one is one of my favorites. It's the Worm Guard. Now, in regards to the Worm Guard, I could have done Worm Guard, Ring Worm Guard, Reverse Dollar Worm Guard. The list goes on. I didn't. I just chose Worm Guard as a principle. This is where you're taking the lapel of your opponent and you're feeding it underneath your own leg and their leg. You're basically stapling your leg and your opponent's leg together with the gi. Super, super annoying. If you can set it up, there's some really, really good back takes from there. Worm bars, worm nados, all sorts of moves, which is super fun. But a really, really strong technique if you can pull it off in the gi. Next one is Keenan again with Squid Guard. So Worm Guard primarily is played on one side, so you'd be playing it on usually their right leg if you're right-handed. And the next thing that you want to be doing is, okay, well, if I'm attacking on the right leg with my Worm Guard, I need a left leg attack. So what we're doing here is we're doing the Squid Guard. So Squid Guard can be seen in two different styles. One is the inverted Squid Guard and one's the conventional Squid Guard. There are moves from both. This here that you can see him inverting, this is the inverted style, obviously, of Squid. But you can also swing it back around, and I think you'll find in a second Keenan swings it back around for a second. Definitely something that you should try, or at least have a little go at, because there's some really, really cool sweeps. There's lapello plata moves from there as well, which is a guard I haven't included in today's video, but check out lapello plata, little honorable mention there. I think he spins around just about now to show the different variants. So that's your standard Squid right there. That's your inverted Squid right there. So really, really fun one, and it matches up amazingly well with the Worm Guard, which is on the other leg. So you've got attacks on both sides. The next one I put in, just as a little cameo, this is Crab Ride, right? This is Craig Jones, he's showing it. It's where his legs are basically hooked behind his knee. So that's Crab Ride. Now that I've said that, this is what we're calling the Matrix Guard. So Matrix being a situation where you invert and you're going to chop down on the back of their leg. So you'll see the unload. It's a bit of a slower video, this one, just because there's a lot of movement going on. The reason I put the Crab Guard in first was because I know that a lot of people will see Matrix and just say that is Crab Ride. I think Crab Ride's more of a position, whereas some people are trying to make this here, and he's going to move his leg over into the Matrix position. So it's very, very similar to setting up a Crab Ride. It's just that they're now calling this the Matrix. I don't think anyone would think too badly of you if you use them interchangeably, but just there you're moving over into some pretty familiar Crab Ride setups to take the back. The next one is my favorite. So this is a legit technique for those of you who don't know. This is the Donkey Guard. That is the Donkey Guard right there, made famous by Jeff Glover. He's actually really good at it. You should go and watch some matches, where he's using Donkey Guard. And as ridiculous as that looks, he is phenomenally good at it. Very good. The next one, just up to date at the end, because I did completely forget about it, is your X-Guard setup. Very, very common in today's game, both gi and no gi. It's where you're making an X out of your legs. You've got one foot coming underneath and sitting in the hip, and the other one is sitting behind the knee. And then you've got your reverse X, of course, as well. So that's essentially here, this is the X, and then he switches it around and he shows that's the X, and then he just switches his legs. One goes to the bottom, one goes to the top, and that's the reverse X. And primarily reverse X has become famous because it takes you to the saddle or the honey hole or the cross-ashi, all the same position. A great entrance into your leg lock game is the cross-ashi. So that's why they use it so much. And that is it. We've done it. We've achieved it. All the guards. Let's take it back. All right. Thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Went through them pretty quick. I think it was 27 guards in 20 minutes. I'll see you next week. If not, hopefully back in the mat soon. And have a good night. See ya.